Hi there, eighth graders. So today what we are going to do is we are going to look at how some events propel action in a story. And so the way I think of this is like in the past when you looked at like cause and effect. Like one thing can cause something else to happen that can cause something else to happen that can cause something else to happen. So um, that's what we're going to look at today. So before we do that, I do want you guys to take a little bit of notes. So if you could get out your reading notebook and jot a few of these things down. The first thing that you need to know before we get into this is what the word propel means. Okay. And when you're looking at something propelling something, like if you think about like a propeller on like a boat, a propeller moves forward, right? So if something is being propelled, it is moving forward. Okay. Pause me while you go to write this down. Okay. The other word that I want you to write down is plot. And plot is essentially the events in a story. So just when you're reading, this is what happens in a story. Okay. So again, pause me, write that down. And then the last thing, we're going to use this phrase a lot, is events propelling action. And this might, like, if you think of events, think of the word plot. Okay. So it can be plot events propelling action. Okay. So what this is these are the events in a story that cause something to happen or move the action forward. So when you think of events propelling action, you think of cause and effect. This happened, which affected this to happen, which affected this to happen, which affected this to happen. So it could be a conversation that characters had that caused somebody to go out and do this. It could be like a car accident that maybe caused somebody to go to the hospital. And maybe while they were in the hospital, they met somebody and they would have never met that person because of a car accident. Or maybe it was somebody bullying somebody and that person actually standing up to the bully. If they wouldn't have stood up to the bully would have kept bullying. But because that person stood up to the bully, the effect was that the bully stopped bullying. Okay. So what we've got for you here is this chart. So what we're going to do is we are going to do it with People Call Me Crazy from the short story that we read yesterday with Thatcher and Richie. And we're going to look at events that happened and then what kept the action of the plot moving forward. So the event was, I ventured, pointing to the right. Richie studied the ground, doubt all over his face before nodding reluctantly. So this is when they were looking at the fork in the road. So what this event, that them deciding to follow his path, because they decided to follow that path, what action occurred? They ended up getting lost in the woods, right? Okay. So the next thing, Richie decides that he's going to cross the fallen tree branch, right? And he's like, "That's a great idea." And the entire time, Thatcher's like, "I don't want to watch this." He doesn't want to do it, but it's getting dark and they're arguing. And so, what happens after Richie wants to cross the fallen tree branch? If he wouldn't have done that, the plot would have stopped, right? But because he crossed the fallen tree branch, he fell into the water. Well, first he decided to cross it, and then he fell in the water. Right? And then the last one that we have for you is, and that's when he tripped and stumbled. I watched him fall into the river, frame by horrible frame. So he falls into the river. So after Richie falls in the river, because Richie fell in the river, Thatcher jumped into the river to save him. Another thing, though, that happened from that is Thatcher enjoyed the adrenaline and I guess the feeling of helping someone. So he became a search and rescue team member. So 2 events. This was a big one. 2 events happened from that one. Okay. So essentially, on this side, you're looking at, okay, this is a big deal in the story. Why is it a big deal? What does it cause? What happens because of it? Okay. Now, this is where you're into place. So this should all be on Schoology for you. Go through, and if you want to type this in for the people call me crazy, you can. If you want to just skip through and go into your novel, that's fine. So you're going to look at the book that you're reading. You're going to put your novel here. And then you're going to think of 3 major events that have already occurred. Maybe there was a fight, or maybe there was a thunderstorm, or maybe there was an accident of sorts, or maybe somebody asked somebody on a date, or maybe somebody heard a ghost, or maybe somebody got taken. Or so think of the major plot events. You're going to cite them here. If you look up here, these are all with page numbers. Okay, so think back. If you do not use a direct quote, you could say like, she was taken by a stranger. And when you go back in the text, just look, and maybe that was page 4. Okay, so then after you have that, what kept the action moving forward after that? Maybe because she was taken by a stranger, she decided to fight back to that stranger, or things like that. Okay. So what I want you to, so you're going to do that. You're going to do all 3 and make sure that you cite what page it's from. Okay. Tell me what book it is so I know what I'm looking at, and explain how that plot kept moving forward. Okay. And then as soon as you're done, you're going to submit. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. Have a great day, guys.